begged her. I said, Mum, I'm only just 16. I want to come home. I just don't want to marry that man. I want to go to school.
This beautiful lady here was forced into a marriage at the age of just 16 by her own parents, her mother, father, and her siblings. Listen to her story.
I came in from school one day, I was 14 years old, and my mother sat me down. She showed me a photograph of this man, and she straight away said, you know, this is the man that you're going to marry. And I remember looking at this picture as a 14-year-old thinking, ugh, he's shorter than me. I couldn't comprehend marrying a man, and he's older than me. And I said to my mum, no. My mum was very calm to start with, and she said, you've been promised to him from the age of 8. You will not dishonor this family and say no. Picking a husband in a family is quite easy, actually, because, I mean, the first thing they do is they ensure that, you know, the person is the same ethnicity, religion, social standing, caste matters. My family was Sikh. So Sikh family members will look to other Sikh family members. All my sisters were married to men in rural villages in India. And the passage to the UK was something that was inviting. It gave my family greater status, because then the next thing we would be expected to do is to sponsor that person to become a British citizen. Now, that carries a weight in gold in the UK. As soon as you get 15 and a half, almost 16, that's when they take you to India to marry you off. So they took me out of education, and I was taken to my room upstairs, a bedroom, and the padlock was put on the outside of the door, and I was locked in that room. That time of my life is so dark that I attempted to take my life on one occasion.
If you have watched this video thus far, please hit the subscribe button, show me some love, encourage my channel, because here we tell real stories about real people that you're sure to learn from. Thank you to my old subscriber, and thank you for subscribing.
There was nothing I could do to escape other than to agree to the marriage. I agreed to the marriage purely to buy back my freedom, because I knew that if I said yes, I could be out of that room and the room would be unlocked. When I was allowed the freedom around the house, my mother started to plan the wedding very quickly. It was the most bizarre experience for me, because I had to play the role of pretending to take part in this. And being in that charade was basically enabling my mother to trust me more and more. And then I escaped. I ran away from home at the age of 16 in the end. My parents reported me missing to the police, but we were homeless for the first few weeks. You know, we'd sleep on park benches, sleep in the car, etc. But we were tracked down by the police because of the number plate of the car. Here was a police officer, you know, over 42 years ago, with a young Asian girl begging him not to send her back home, or saying, please, my parents are going to force me into marriage. Please don't send me back. He said, I won't tell your family where you are on the condition that you ring home and you tell them you're safe and well. It's a call that I'll remember for the rest of my life. I said, Mum, you know, it's me. And that was it. You've shamed us. You have shamed this family. People spit at me in the street. How could you do this to your family? You know, you are no better than, her words, a prostitute. You know, I hope you give birth to a daughter who does to you what you've done to me. Then you will know what it feels like to raise a daughter such as you. And I begged her. I said, Mum, I'm only just 16. I want to come home. I just don't want to marry that man. I want to go to school. I was talking as quickly as I could. And that was it. It ended the conversation. She said, you either come home and marry who we say, or from this day forward, you are now dead in our eyes. Sadly, that was the case. You know, I'd write letters, I'd ring, the phone would go down on me. I felt that I had done this to them. All my sisters had done it the right way. Did I love my parents any less that I could do this to them? Because they'd made me feel so guilty. They disowned me, not just me, my children as well, and my grandchildren. So my family haven't spoken to me for 42 years. It was later on that I had a secret relationship with my sister Rabina, and my mother and father did talk to me later on in their lives, but in secret. It was never in full view of the family. And we shared moments, but we never ever reconciled. Rabina was the one who was forced to marry when she was 15 and a half. And she suffered an abusive marriage in that marriage. And she actually managed to leave him. My mother accepted her back, and later on in her life, she married for love. Now, I say it like that because when you have an arranged marriage, you don't marry for love. You're meant to grow to love the person. That's how it works. My parents accepted it because he ticked all the boxes. But within that marriage, she suffered horrendous domestic abuse. She was telling my mother was sending her back because that was always the pattern. But it was harder for Rubina because my mother would then say, well, you chose him. My mother sent this community leader to see my sister Rubina. And he again reinforced to her that she had a duty to stay with this man for the sake of the family. What he means by that is for the sake of the family's reputation. So Rubina went back to him, and this woman came to my market stall on a Sunday, and she said to me, you need to ring home, something has happened. And I said, well, what's happened? She goes, no, I can know your family, and you need to ring home and ask them. My mother answered the phone, and I said, Mum, you know, what's happened? She said, it's Rubina. You know, she's died. She's dead. And I said, what do you mean she's dead? She's died. Well, I don't know what you mean. I saw her 3 days ago. What do you mean? And she said, she set herself on fire and she's committed suicide. And I said, you know, I'm coming to the house. And my mother said, don't come here. Don't show your face. But I know you will come. So you can come when it's dark and nobody sees your face. And I thought in that moment, even now, you've lost a daughter in such a horrific way, and you're still telling me not to show my face. And this is the thing that really turned it all around for me, from feeling that I was the bad guy. I no longer felt it on this day when she said, it was better for Rubina to take her life than for her to dishonor her family and divorce her husband. And that was it. It was Rubina that gave me a voice. It was Rubina that enabled me to have the courage to come out and speak out. There's death by fire called Sati, and what that is, I'm not suggesting this is a tradition, because it's not. There is a tradition, a barbaric practice I'll call it, in India, whereby when your husband dies, as a woman, you're meant to sacrifice yourself by throwing yourself alive on the fire. There is something symbolic about dying by fire because it's deemed as a personal sacrifice. I still went to the funeral. My sister's face couldn't even be shown because she was completely burnt. And I looked around the room and I thought, you all have blood on your hands. You know, the community leader was there, the family were there. You all knew what she was going through, and yet not one of you came to rescue her. How many more Rubinas or Jasvindas are there out there? There are thousands of us, but we are just not hearing us. And I have to say that my mother, when Rubina died, her health just deteriorated completely. Ironically, that's when she let me back into her life, albeit in secret. And then quickly my mother got cancer. She became sicker. And I remember visiting her in the hospice on the day when the nurses said she is going to die today. I remember saying to my mum, I'm not going to leave your bedside today. And my mother told me I had to leave because my sisters and my brother will be coming soon, and then her secret will be out that she's been talking to me. And I'm thinking, you're dying and you're telling me to go still. And then my sisters came in and my brother came in, and they were horrified and they were saying, why is she here, to my mum, even though they knew she was dying. And my mother just put her hand up very weakly and said, leave it. And I was right at the top of the bed, and I speak fluent Punjabi. I say that because my mother's last dying words in Punjabi were, Rubina, I'm coming to you. My mother was in her early 50s when she died, you know, and she carried that weight of my sister silently, but she couldn't express that. When my father died, he was in his 70s when my father died. He actually made me and my sister an executor of his will. And I remember going into my father's bedroom, and in the corner of the wall, you'd miss it if you were not looking for it, there was a framed picture of me in my graduation gown. So, you know, I knew he was proud of me. He couldn't tell me that, I have never regretted my choice of saying no to a forced marriage. Absolutely not. That conviction of not regretting it gets stronger every single day. As I watch my children growing up, I look at them and think, you know, they have their freedom and independence because of the decision their mother made when she was 16. The choices you are making right now will affect the future, and you decide, this is going to be my life now because I do deserve better, and then you learn to live that life. I didn't actually speak out publicly until my father passed away. I decided to educate myself. I went to university when I was 28. Then I set up the charity. Karma Nirvana was the name for the charity because I wanted a charity that gave people a sense of peace, which is karma, and enlightenment, which is nirvana. Through informed choices, you are enlightened. So Karma Nirvana is a charity that supports both men and women. It supports victims and survivors who are fleeing forced marriages, honor-based abuse. One of the things that I'm also really proud of is the National Day of Remembrance. So I lobbied and campaigned for a national day to honor the memories of those women who were murdered in what I call dishonorable killings. Those people who commit these crimes perceive themselves to be dishonored. So the motivation for the crime is honor related. So that's how we use the word honor. The persistence that was required for me was where I was putting my pain, loss of Rabina, my own experiences, the injustice. I had to put it somewhere, and it was in that charity. The charity is nearly 30 years old now, so the rest is history. The helpline that was in my front room is now a national helpline funded by government. It receives over 900 calls a month. We'd received over 190,000 calls to the helpline. I worked to change law, so forced marriage became a criminal offence after a 13-year campaign. One of the things that I wanted to do was write a book. So the title of my book is Shame. And the reason why it's called Shame is because my whole life upbringing was underpinned by this concept. But I actually called it Shame because I was reclaiming the word. And what I mean by that is I was saying, my honor is your shame. It's for anybody that has experienced rejection, divorce, domestic abuse, childbirth, being homeless, uneducated, then educated. It's all those things. It's got to speak to everybody. There are millions of people out there that are affected by these issues who are still out there not knowing that there is support available, not hearing women who have come out of it and come out the other end. You know, the hope. There are other ways. There are people there who understand. We are breaking a silence. I know that somebody could be watching this right now and be affected by what I'm saying. I want to tell you that you are the victim. You are not doing this to your family by asserting yourself and taking a stand. Take some time out to think about what you want, because it's possible. Please don't be silent. There's help available. And, you know, tell somebody what you're going through. The only way we can make this a better space for people who are affected by it is by spreading the word until it spreads like wildflowers. So let's keep speaking, and thank you. I really appreciate you listening.
Thank you so much for watching thus far. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because here we tell you real stories about real people that you are sure to learn from. See you soon. Bye-bye.